So we connected due to the company Two Before. Two Before has been sponsoring this podcast since September and will continue for a few more months. I got connected with Two Before after I learned about them from my friend Aaron Bailey. Aaron's a runner and coach and really awesome creator. And I started looking into this product because it had a bunch of really excellent and strong claims. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And as I did more research, I was more and more impressed. And I read a meta-analysis of 16 studies. And the conclusion was basically, yes, it has performance benefit. No, it doesn't have downsides. I wanted to have you on this podcast for what we spent the first half of it talking about, which is I know enough to be dangerous when it comes to nutrition. And I also acknowledge where my limit is. Like, I don't want to say something that isn't true or didn't communicate it properly. So I want to hear it from you as an expert. First, what is, and you don't work for Two Before, you work with Two Before as I do, just to be clear. So first, what is it and why does it work?
Yeah, so it's a black currant based pre-workout, and they have a couple forms. They have one with caffeine and one without, but it's really the black currant and how it's grown specifically in New Zealand that gives it its superpower. So superpower is not a very evidence-based statement, but it's essentially the black currants and then the growing conditions there allow for it to be rich in these polyphenols, this compound specifically called anthocyanin. It's rich in antioxidants and vitamin C too, but the anthocyanins is where we get a lot of the benefits. So helps us with vasodilation, helps us open up our blood vessels, get more blood flow and oxygen, nutrients into working muscles. So this can help with endurance. There's some recovery benefits as well. It helps. It's got this interesting ability to drive up both being anti-inflammatory and drive up our own inflammation pathways in order to improve our recovery, to start the recovery repair process. So helps to reduce inflammation, helps to reduce oxidative stress, to reduce the impact of potential like muscle damage from hard exercise. So benefits there, it's consumed pre-workout, but we have both those in exercise benefits and post-exercise benefits from it.
It's been fascinating. So I'm training for this ultra, which has 4,500 feet of gain, and I'm spending a lot of time, or in this peak week, which was last week, I did the Boulder Skyline Traverse, which was 6,000 feet of gain over about 19 miles. And that's a lot of downhill also. And the prior weekend, or 2 weeks prior, I did 4 miles of hard downhill in the middle of a long run, like a 19-mile long run, 18-mile long run. And 2 of those miles were on the road at like a 6:15 pace. So 2 weeks prior to the Skyline, I did a super hard downhill effort. I was a little sore and recovered well. And then 2 weeks later, I did the Skyline. Then I did 2 hours the next day on trail with like 1,500 feet of gain. And then 2 days later, I did a hard downhill 20-minute session. I dropped 550 feet on the road, not wearing super shoes. I was looking to elicit as much muscle damage as possible. And I was freaking blown away with how I felt later that day, because
That's awesome.
In the past, I've been like totally wrecked from that single stimulus. That's a lot of downhill. That's like 200 and almost 200 feet a mile. It was at 5:59 pace, so I was definitely moving. And so some of it is training adaptation. Some of it is like I've been doing that type of volume and work, but I was shocked. And I don't want to make an outlandish claim to say like all due to Two Before, but I'm starting to notice trends in some of the workouts I'm doing that would have caused some more substantial muscle soreness. And based on what you're saying, it sounds like that's not terribly surprising. Also, the immune health benefit is wonderful. I was on 3 planes last week and managed to not get sick. So that was wonderful.
That's awesome.
But I'm curious, why did you, and it's like half an ad for Two Before, but it's also like my curiosity around this product. And so to be clear, yes, they're a partner. And yes, I'm singularly focused on bringing brands on board that have great people behind them and great science if it's a nutrition related product, and they're doing good things in the world. So like another current pursuit of mine is to work with a car company with a focus on, bless you, a focus on EV. Because I think that everyone should be at least considering an electric vehicle if they drive a lot. Or I work with my solar company because I think that's a super awesome thing that you can do to reduce your impact and also the money that you have to spend on a monthly basis on electricity. So like my goal is to bring interesting opportunities and brands and things that I think will either save you money or help make you healthier or enjoy the experience more. And this to me is one of those opportunities, which is why I'm diving deep into it. So for you, what were you drawn to about either the science or the company or the people or?
Yeah. And I think kind of just good disclaimer here. I think the Washington Post just kind of went on a smear campaign on dietitians and working with brands. So it might be a good time to really talk about this. For me, like if you're on my page, I do a lot on social media. If you're on there, I regularly talk about supplements not to take, not to waste your money on, things you don't need to do, fads that are out there that you don't need to do. And so it's really important to me that anything that I bring or anybody that I bring on board as a sponsor is something that's got to already like organically work for me, like something that I would already recommend, that has the science, it's backed by science, that like you said, has little to no side effects or anything that I would have to put a disclaimer on to say like, hey, this is not for you. It fits for my audience. It's got the science behind it. It's Informed Sport certified, so it's third-party tested, which is a huge one for me. And it has actual benefits. I wanted to try it out. I wanted to try it out first because they approached me before I had tried it, to be honest. And it was I looked at the research, I looked at the information, and for me, I'm looking at it both from the standpoint of would I use this, but also would I recommend this, because I might have athletes that I make recommendations for that aren't necessarily the same ones that I would do for myself. But when I tried it, like I did notice those benefits. Like I had just started really upping my training. I really don't use pre-workout. I've actually talked against pre-workout all the time. And usually because they're filled with a bunch of junk that makes you feel like you're getting that tingle or something like that. But a lot of times I see people kind of abuse pre-workout and use it in place of proper nutrition for energy. And so I didn't like that. I like this because it's a straightforward, it's like a food-based product. It's made from berries. It's made from blackcurrant berries. They do have a caffeine version, but they have a version that doesn't have caffeine, and it does the things. Like I noticed in my own training, I was able to go longer. I felt way better. My level of perceived fatigue, doing the same type of training that I had done previously without taking it, it had gone down substantially. Like I felt like a lot of times I'm at the gym, like, oh my gosh, I've done like an hour and a half. I'm time to go. Like I was done, and I feel like I still have gas in the tank, and I'm not feeling crazy sore for days on end afterwards. So it's allowing me to continue, not train every day, because you shouldn't be training every day, but training with the frequency at least that I want to train at. Yeah. Shout out rest days. You need them. So that's what I like. They have dietitians on board, and dietitians that I trust. And I just really liked all around what they were doing, how they were approaching it, how they were presenting it. I don't like when brands use a lot of fatty kind of words like clean or, detox or stuff like that. So I'm always looking at how are they marketing their product as well. And I really liked all around what this product and the company stood for and was trying to do in the space.
Okay. So there are a lot of similar properties between beetroot juice, which I've used and loved, and New Zealand black currants. What seem to be some of the differences between the two?
Yeah, so they definitely have similarities, right, in their benefits. Don't see as much benefits with beets for recovery like we see with black currants and with this product. But the big difference for me is that the black currants just taste a lot better. Like beets taste like, I'm sorry, beets taste like trash to me, and I've had such a hard time getting any of my athletes on board with them. I can show them, and they can even try it and see that, like, oh wow, I feel great, right? Like this is helpful for me, but it tastes like trash and I can't get them to consistently take it. So what I like is this actually tastes good.
Yeah, I felt the same way because I get into the rhythm with beet root juice or powder, and I'm good for like 2 weeks. And then I'm like, all right, I'm only using this for workouts versus, easy runs. And I want to be in a place where like it's just consistent.